6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Ramesh Piris. First, the headlines. The Asian Development Bank is ready to provide funds to restructure several state-owned enterprises. The ADB also extends support to small and medium enterprises sector for the economic development of the country. The Gazette issued extending terms of the local government institutions. The President stressed that steps should be taken to find a solution to the power crisis without disrupting the day-to-day lives of the people. Private sector heads have said it is difficult to give 5,000 rupee allowance until the country's economy becomes better. 4 government aid agreements, including 22.5 billion rupee grant, signed during Chinese foreign minister's visit. India topped Sri Lanka's tourist arrivals in December and the entire year. COVID update, 461 fresh cases detected in Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka reports 15 more coronavirus deaths. In news overseas, Russia downplays threat to Ukraine in talks with the US. And in sports, it's football. Manchester United booked an FA Cup fourth-round meeting with Middlesbrough. And now the news in detail. The Asian Development Bank stated that the bank is ready to provide funds to restructure several state-owned enterprises. Vice President Sixin Shen made these remarks when he met President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. He further said that the bank will support the small and medium enterprises sector for the economic development of the country. Shen also commended the success of ongoing projects in Sri Lanka with the assistance of the Asian Development Bank. He commended the successful COVID-19 vaccination program and the streamlined health mechanisms implemented by the government. The ADB has allocated $786 million for Sri Lanka this year for the implementation of 27 projects. The Asian Development Bank's annual meeting will be held in Sri Lanka from May 2nd to the 5th, with the participation of 68 countries. Simultaneously, plans are afoot to hold several activities, including business conferences. About 5,000 local and foreign representatives are expected to attend these events. The annual meeting will be held under the theme, Positioning Climate-Resilient Green Economy for the Post-COVID-19 World. A Gazette notification has been issued extending the tenure of municipal councils, urban councils and Pradesh Sabhas until March 19, 2023. The Gazette has been issued yesterday by the Minister of Public Services, Provincial Councils and Local Government, Janaka Bandara Thenakun, exercising the powers vested in him by the Municipal Council Ordinance, Urban Council Ordinance and Pradesh Sabha Act. Accordingly, the term of each member of all 24 municipal councils, 41 urban councils and 275 Pradesh Sabhas have been extended until March 19, 2023. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has stressed that steps should be taken to find a solution to the power crisis without disrupting the lives of the people. The President made these remarks during a discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat last morning with the heads of the power and energy sectors regarding the issue of power cuts. The official said the situation has arisen due to several issues in relation to the generation of electricity using coal and fossil fuels. They said managing the coal reserves in Sri Lanka is adequate to avert a power crisis. The officials also said that proper management of the fuel-fired power generation can help prevent power cuts. The Minister of Power and Energy stated that all steps have been taken to manage the current situation and maintain the livelihood of the people. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Get an extra 10 rupees for every dollar sent by your loved ones abroad.
Private sector heads have said it is difficult to give 5,000 rupee allowance until the country's economy becomes better. They said this during a discussion yesterday with Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva. They pointed out that they have to spend additional funds to maintain industries and services uninterruptedly. The minister requested them to provide him with a common letter to be submitted to the cabinet. The Chinese embassy in Colombo says that 4 government aid agreements were signed during the visit of the Chinese State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi to support the Sri Lankan people. In a Twitter message posted today, The embassy said that the agreements signed are for the 800 million renminbi grant, BMICH refurbishment, kidney disease screening ambulances and 1,996 housing units for low-income families at Colombo. India topped Sri Lanka's tourist arrivals in December and the entire year, according to data published by the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority. For most part of 2020, beginning April, Sri Lanka shut its borders fearing imports of COVID-19 cases into the island nation, which was then making global headlines for managing the pandemic well, the Hindu reported. The Health Ministry reported that another 461 persons have tested positive for the novel coronavirus yesterday. This figure includes 5 persons who have arrived from overseas, while the remainder are community cases within the country. This brings the tally of COVID-19 cases in the country to 592,128, while presently a total of 9,471 infected patients are undergoing treatment island-wide. Meanwhile, the Director General of Health Services has confirmed another 15 coronavirus-related deaths for January 9th, increasing the country's death toll due to the virus to 15,134. And that concludes local news.
Get an extra 10 rupees for every dollar sent by your loved ones abroad. Receive your money instantly via People's Bank.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Urban Development and Housing Construction Ministry, under the first phase, has initiated a special work plan in Anuradhapura district to make maximum use of the tanks for the agricultural and cultivation purposes. The Ulanu colony in Hakirava area has been renovated and used for agricultural purposes. The project is being carried out under the theme Vistas of Prosperity concept of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight, health authorities have requested the public to follow health guidelines strictly as the corona infection crossed 400 mark for the last few weeks. Although it was observed that there was a sharp drop in the corona infections during the last few days, that cannot be taken for granted, the health authorities warned. The Director General of Health Services, Dr. Asela Gunawardena, said that it is a high risk for the public to get involved with large gatherings or get-togethers. He requested the public to refrain from travelling between the provinces. He pointed out that 400 to 550 corona patients are still being reported daily from the country. Therefore, he emphasized that the pandemic can spread rapidly again if the public act irresponsibly. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Moving on to a bulletin of world news, first the headlines. The Association of Tennis Professionals says Novak Djokovic's visa controversy damaging on all fronts. Russia downplays threat to Ukraine in talks with the US. COVID pass protesters attack French MP Stéphanie Cleroux with seaweed. Now the world news in detail. The controversy over Novak Djokovic's Australian visa application has been damaging on all fronts, the men's professional tennis tour has said. The Association of Tennis Professionals who also called for more clarity of the rules to enter Australia and urged players to get vaccinated. Djokovic left an immigration detention hotel on Monday after his visa cancellation was overturned in court. But Australia's immigration minister still has powers to recancel the visa and deport the unvaccinated player. Russia has told the US that it has no intention of invading Ukraine after officials from both countries met for high-stakes talks in Geneva. After a meeting that lasted for 7 hours on Monday, both sides agreed to continue efforts to reduce tensions. But there was no sign of a major breakthrough following the talks. Around 100,000 Russian troops are believed to be near the border with Ukraine, prompting fears of an incursion and warnings from the West. A French MP has been attacked by a crowd of COVID-19 pass protesters outside his home in the overseas territory of Saint-Pierre and Miquelon. Video showed Stéphanie Cleroux being pelted with seaweed and other missiles in the North American territory. He likened the attack to a stoning and said he would file criminal charges against those responsible. Back to the headlines of the world news. The Association of Tennis Professionals says Novak Djokovic's visa controversy damaging on all fronts. Russia downplays threats to Ukraine in talks with the US. COVID pass protesters attack French MP Stephanie Cleroux with seaweed. And that concludes the Bulletin of World News.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take all out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
In development news, a new bridge has been constructed in Liangastota in Hambantota district under the Saubage Road Development Project. This will enable the villagers to travel to Ambalantota town easily without any hindrance. This construction was done based on the request made by the villagers. And that was Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Moving on to sports, it's football. Manchester United have booked an FA Cup fourth round meeting with Middlesbrough at Scott McTominay's 8-minute header proved enough to beat Aston Villa at Old Trafford. McTominay was allowed to run unchallenged to the edge of the Villa's 6-yard box, where he met Fred's perfectly weighted cross to steer the ball past Emiliano Martinez. The goal condemned Villa boss Steven Gerrard to an unhappy return to Manchester, where he was baited by the home supporters because of his allegiance to Liverpool. And that's sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
People's Bank recently announced that it had facilitated 82.6 million transactions worth over 1.2 trillion rupees during the year 2021, through its island-wide network of ATMs, CDMs and self-banking kiosks. The second largest commercial bank in Sri Lanka, People's Bank also enjoys the largest customer base in Sri Lanka, counting over 14 million customers, along with the largest branch network consisting of over 741 physical contact points. Over the course of 2021, People's Bank's 797 ATMs facilitated over 800 billion rupees worth of transactions, while its 298 CDMs witnessed over 460 billion rupees worth of transactions. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Several new Chinese investment opportunities might be sealed by Sri Lanka's subsequent visit by the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, Sri Lanka's Foreign Secretary Professor Jayannath Kulabage said. The Chinese Foreign Minister met both President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and several other top government officials during this visit, which he commenced from the Maldives. And that was Economic News. The weather report is next.
The weather report.
And finally, moving on to the weather report, the Met Department says the low-level atmospheric disturbance still persists to the southeast of Sri Lanka. Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the northern, north-central, eastern, central and Uva provinces and in Hambantota district. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters may occur at some places in the eastern, Uva and north-central provinces and in the Hambantota and Matale districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in western and Sabaragama provinces and in Galle and Matara districts. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters may occur at some places in the Ratnapura, Kalutara, Galle and Matara districts. And that was the weather report. And to end this news broadcast, a recap of the main news headlines. The Asian Development Bank is ready to provide funds to restructure several state-owned enterprises. The ADB also extends support to small and medium enterprises sector for the economic development of the country. The Gazette issued extending terms of the local government institutions. The President stressed that steps should be taken to find a solution to the power crisis without disrupting the day-to-day lives of the people. The power sector heads have said it is difficult to give 5,000 rupee allowance until the country's economy becomes better. 4 government aid agreements, including 25.5 billion rupees grant, signed during Chinese Foreign Minister's visit. India topped Sri Lanka's tourist arrivals in December and the entire year. COVID update, 461 fresh cases detected in Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka reports 15 more COVID deaths. In news overseas, Russia downplays threat to Ukraine in talks with the US. And in sports, it's football. Manchester United booked an FA Cup 4th round meeting with Middlesbrough. And with that, we conclude this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.